What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode slash live stream slash breaking news coming out here of the world of the Arizona Cardinals. Can we get some fire emojis in the comments below and let's Monty cook, ladies and gentlemen? Word came out here probably about an hour ago, and I apologize. It did take some time for me to jump into the lab to get this video out, and it took me a little longer, and I apologize about that. And I was like, what better opportunity to jump on here on a live stream and talk about it, right? Talk about it here and chop it up here with you guys and the rest of the Bird Gang to really figure out how you guys are feeling about this big breaking news of a bombshell that just landed on the Arizona Cardinals' lap. So we got a lot to dive in today. Today is Wednesday, the first official start of the new 2024 year. Technically, right? The tampering period was Monday and Tuesday, and Wednesday is the official time where we can actually put pen to paper. This is the actual official date right here. And the Cardinals went ahead and came out with a splash, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to be diving into it, ladies and gentlemen. We got a lot of things. We got DJ Humphries getting cut and opening up some massive cap space for the Arizona Cardinals. And we talked about this. We talked about this before. We've said this on one of our videos, right? What can the Arizona Cardinals do to open up some more cap space? And DJ Humphries was one of those guys in terms of being a potential kind of cap casualty. And I have never seen an offseason like this with these big, huge names just hitting the open market. It worked out. It worked out for the Arizona Cardinals in the long run. So let's get to the first contribution of the day. Professor, what's up, brother? Professor in the house saying Monty is on one. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. This is big breaking news coming out of the world of the Arizona Cardinals for multiple reasons, right? For multiple reasons. We've heard the national media criticize the Arizona Cardinals, saying things like, you had $50 million and you signed who, right? A lot of people are giving us grades of C pluses, C's, and they just kind of had us somewhere in the mid tier. This right here is the big splash that the Arizona Cardinals absolutely needed to say, we're here. We're here. We're still here and we want to compete. And we just got a huge piece here in free agency. So let's get started, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get started on this. So a lot of things to dive into today, right? Now, let me paint this picture here real quick. I was not in the studio at all. I was not in the studio at all. I got word that DJ Humphries was obviously released. And this is definitely something that wasn't a shock to me. Is it sad? It is. It is. I want to make sure that I be very, very transparent here. I did like DJ Humphries a lot. Former first round pick for the Arizona Cardinals. And this seems to be the guy that was man, he was a staple point. I'm not going to lie. It was a staple point for the Arizona Cardinals, and I get it. It just kind of seemed like it was the right thing to do for the Arizona Cardinals, but I want to make sure I'm very, very clear on this. I do want to say a huge thank you here to DJ Humphries for the services that he's given the Arizona Cardinals and what he's actually provided. Thank you. I absolutely do appreciate it here. And as an Arizona Cardinal fan through and through, appreciate it for sure. Now, being that we released him, there's a couple things that we need to obviously dive into. Now, I think it's going to really depend on, is this going to be a pre-June 1st cut or a post-June 1st cut? Now, being that the Arizona Cardinals did have some wiggle room to spend some money, I don't think, it really matters, because obviously we had the money in terms of being able to sign Jonah Williams. So I guess it didn't really matter there. But these are the numbers in terms of, I guess, just kind of depending. So the Arizona Cardinals are going to have a cap savings pre-June 1st of $9 million. But if they set it for post-June 1st, it's going to be $15 million. So there's a big $6 million swing there if the Arizona Cardinals decide to do it post. But I don't know. I haven't heard anywhere that it was post. But regardless, the Cardinals saved money. The Cardinals absolutely saved money in this whole situation. And I knew deep down that this was a real possibility. And here it is. Here it is. So DJ Humphries is no longer an Arizona Cardinal, but we got somebody to replace him right away, and that is Jonah Williams. And I've already read the comments here, ladies and gentlemen. I've already read the comments here, and there are some people out there saying that the Bengals saying that this man sucked. Honestly, I'm not going to trust any Bengals fans right now, because they're probably bitter. They're probably bitter. Now, no, I'm not saying this guy is the bee's knees, right? I'm not saying this guy's the best guy out there, but this is the best free agent that we ended up getting this entirety of the time. So here's the plan. I've said this before. What I would really love the Arizona Cardinals to do is move Paris Johnson Jr. And I was talking about this a month and a half ago when people weren't even tuning into my videos because it's the off season. I said what the Arizona Cardinals should do is get themselves in a situation where Paris Johnson Jr. is going to be in the left side. He played that in college. I would love to see our first round, 6th overall pick go to the left side and protect Kyler Murray. And then we can focus on the right side. Because there's some people out there that really truly believe that the left is harder than the right. I never played a day in my life offensive line. Obviously, as you can tell the way I look, I'm not even suitable to be even in the same breath as these guys, right? But what I'm saying is, it makes sense. It makes sense, right? And what we're hearing, it almost does seem like the Arizona Cardinals are going to do just that. So huge move for the Arizona Cardinals. Let me get to the second super chat here of my guy Professor, just dropping some money bags right here. Appreciate y'all, man. He says no more false start penalties. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Towards the end of it all with DJ Humphries, I love DJ Humphries. I love him as a person. I think he was a great locker room guy. I think he was a fantastic human being and everything that he stood for. I truly do. But it kind of got to the point where whenever the flag was thrown, it almost kind of felt like, oh boy, what did DJ Humphries do now? It did kind of feel like it got to that point. It truly did. And it sucks to get to that level, but it did truly feel like that point. So I agree. I agree. Huge win for the Arizona Cardinals today. Now, let me go ahead and get to the details, right? Let's get to the details. Day 3 of free agency frenzy. I did not think that this was going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. I thought the Cardinals were done. I thought like the Cardinals were done. But here is the official report from Adam Schefter, and it says this: former Bengals offensive tackle Jonah Williams is signing a 2-year, $30 million deal that includes $19 million guaranteed with the Arizona Cardinals per source. Now, that $19 million guaranteed. Awesome. $30 million deal. This is a pretty darn big deal. This is a big deal. And I know I heard some people out there saying that the Cardinals won't be doing anything like this, right? We won't be getting big splash moves. But honestly, this kind of fell to the lap of the Arizona Cardinals. It truly did, right? There was a lot of question marks on DJ Humphries. Is he going to start in the beginning of the season? We don't know. We didn't know at the end of the day. But why not get an opportunity to get a starting right tackle, move Paris Johnson to the left, and obviously the rest is history from there. So I think this is an absolute huge upgrade. I'm super excited about it. Let me go ahead and bring in one of my guests here. If you guys have been rocking with me for quite some time, you guys know who this is. He has a YouTube channel called The Cardinal Rule. Let's bring in Joe, The Cardinal Rule. What's up, brother man? How are you doing?
What is up? Hey, man. So I got to tell y'all, Mike messaged me, hey, you want to jump on? I'm like, hey, I just got home from the gym. Do I have time to take a shower? He's like, hey, man, I'm going live now. I'm like, all right, dude, shower can wait, right? We got news, right? So I'm a little lathered, right? But I'm excited. So I got to shout this out. I just put this out on Twitter. When the Cardinals drafted Paris Johnson Jr. last draft, the video I did for PJJ was basically asking, are DJ Humphries' days numbered? And I kind of called that this last year would be his last season with the Cardinals because of the cap hit. Now, didn't anticipate the injury, but with the cap hit, you're drafting a guy at number 6. You talked about it. You want that guy to be your left tackle. And listen, Joe Stradamus here. Last time I was on this stream, you remember, like I called Jonah Williams as a good fit as a free agent for the Cardinals because he could play left or right tackle with PJJ, whichever side. If they want to move him to left, which is where he played at college. Jonah Williams played right tackle last year. If they wanted to keep him a right tackle, or if injuries, I mean, I think it's the perfect signing. A guy who's not super expensive, kind of middle price for a tackle. Yeah, his PFF grades last year weren't the greatest, but he's solid. He can play, and they're still going to probably draft a right tackle of the future, probably on day 3, and develop that guy. But this buys them room to do that. So I think it's a great signing, not just because I called it as a good potential signing for them. But hey, Mike, how are you?
I'm good, man. I'm excited. We have obviously former first round pick. He's 26 years old. This man looks like he's older than that. I'm not gonna lie to you.
He does look a little old. I think playing for Bama ages you a little bit. So
yeah, this man looks like a Viking.
And for Cincinnati. Oh man, I wouldn't want to cross him in a dark alley, man. This dude.
Absolutely. Right. No, I'm excited, dude. I really am. I think this is a huge move. I've already seen some Bengals fans already be, kind of bitter and, say things like he sucks. But honestly, like, this was my dream scenario where we had Paris Johnson moving to the left. So it's not so much like, I'm right, but like, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. And it's very, very unfortunate about the DJ Humphries thing, because I'm not sure about you, but I truly did like him as a person. I thought he was a great locker room guy, had an infectious smile, was funny as heck. I truly did like him. I like to watch his interviews. I think he was a really cool dude, but it needed to happen with what offseason we've been seeing. And if we can open up some more money and get some security, right? Paris Johnson to the left, and then get somebody on the right that could do it. I think it's a no-brainer. What are your thoughts on DJ Humphries?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the personality was charismatic. The smile was infectious. He was just a character. He was a good locker room guy, and appreciate what he brought as a team. But it's a business. He's at an age, where you kind of start looking at whether you want to continue to pay them. He coming off of a major injury, the cap hit. You've just drafted a guy to be your left tackle of the future. And I've talked about this in some of my videos in terms of like Monty and draft strategy. You draft a first round tackle, you want him to be a left tackle ideally.
Facts. Yep.
Right tackles, you can get those guys in the 4th or 5th round if you know what you're doing. And Monty, coming from the Patriots organization, they have a good track record of finding those kinds of guys later in the draft. And then, so they've signed Jonah Williams to play that role. And I do think they'll draft someone to develop them. From a roster building strategy perspective, I know people like to say the salary cap is a myth, but it's not a myth. It's just very flexible. But you have, every extra dollar you save in one position is money you can spend in another position, or money you spend at a position where you shouldn't be spending it is money you're losing somewhere else. And right tackle, you don't want to be paying a right tackle a lot of money unless they're truly elite. You'll pay your left tackle and maybe pay mid-tier money. What they're paying Jonah Williams is fine, right? But eventually, with DJ Humphries, with the injury, that money can be spent on edge rusher. That money can be spent in other places where we have a need. And I think with the kind of down year DJ Humphries had, I don't think we're going to have much of a drop off with Paris Johnson Jr. and Jonah Williams. So I think it just makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, obviously with Jonah Williams here signing a 2-year deal, it does give us some room because, like we said earlier, he's 26 years old. Although if you look at his man's eyes, he looks older. But
Yeah.
anyways, he's 26. So by the time he's done with the contract, 28. So most likely, kind of trying to play a pretty smart game. I'm gonna be honest, right? He's playing a pretty smart game. We're gonna pay him a good grip, and then maybe going to get one last contract if he does decide to stay with the Cardinals or not. But kind of has a bridge type of contract. But when I look at this guy, man, I am excited that we are now starting to address this offensive line the right way. And not just the right way, but like there was always some kind of fear about should the Cardinals get a left tackle or should they get a left guard with the 4th overall. Sorry, not left guard. I apologize. The offensive line, right, in the 4th overall. But now, do you think that this kind of clears a path, an easy path for the Arizona Cardinals to say, Marvin Harrison Jr., if you're there at 4, you're ours?
Absolutely. And I will say this. I have been on that boat for a while. I did not think tackle was in play at 4th. And it kept coming back to they drafted a tackle with the 6th overall pick. You pick that guy to be your left tackle. I looked at what the Patriots have done, where Monty comes from, and they draft tackles in the 1st round, but they usually want them to be left tackles. And then they draft guys like Marcus Cannon, who's not a name everyone knows, but he was a starting solid right tackle who they got on day 3. Like you draft that, if you're drafting a right tackle, ideally you go for them later. So I just didn't see them going tackle in back-to-back years with the idea that one of them would be a right tackle. Right. They drafted one premium tackle to be the left tackle. Now they've just, as we saw, signed a free agent to fill in at right tackle. I think the next right tackle that they get will either be another free agent like that after Jonah Williams' time is up here, or extending Jonah Williams, or someone they draft later. But from a roster building perspective, there's so many needs. It doesn't make sense to use another premium pick on a right tackle where you can get that in free agency and later. They need to do receiver. I did think maybe tackle was in play at pick 27.
Me too. Yep.
And I would sometimes mock that in mine, although often I also went round 2. Now I think that's cornerback or edge or maybe a defensive line, but that's more of a defensive position. I think at 27, receiver at 4. Yeah. And then I think a tackle we're not going to see until 3rd round at the earliest.
Yeah, no, I agree. We got a super chat here from Professor Martin. He says, who the Cardinals, where they get for their left guard right now as they stand. Obviously, we brought back Tristan Colon. We got Carter O'Daly. I'm not sure these guys are still on the I'm looking at the depth chart here from ESPN, but what are your plans, or what do you think, since you did predict this Jonah Williams thing? Do you think the Cardinals will go free agent for the left guard? Is there a specific person that you're looking out for?
I think right now, from what I'm seeing, the plan at left guard is, so they brought back Tristan Colon, who graded well just in limited snaps. They did bring back Elijah Wilkinson, who really struggled, but has been good before he got here and had an injury. So maybe they think he'll be better. They have John Gaines, who they drafted in the 4th round last year, coming back from injury. So as it stands, I actually think they're going to kind of do a Hunger Games thing and like get all these guys, John Gaines, Elijah Wilkinson, Tristan Colon, and maybe even draft someone in the 3rd or 4th round or 5th round, somewhere there, and see who plays best and let that person start. I'm leaning against thinking they're going to go with a big name free agent. And we've seen guards just made a lot of money. I mean, the guy from Detroit that we all liked just got paid. Yeah. And
Robert Hunt too.
And I don't think Monty is going to pay big money for that. I think they believe they can, with the guys they have, whoever ends up playing best of that group of players that I just named, I think they trust that person can get the job done if they've shored up the other positions like Froholt and the tackles and with offensive line, you don't need a stud. You just need 5 serviceable, it's what they call weak link position. But what's most important is you don't have a really bad weak link. Right. And I think they believe they can get good enough play out of the left guard position amongst those guys. And they've solidified all those other positions to where it's competent NFL play across the board. I don't think they're going to spend big money on guard because, again, going back to New England, they found good guards in rounds 3 through 7. And I think Monty believes he has done that or can do that.
You know the beautiful thing here, I'm looking at the ESPN depth chart. They already have Jonah Williams there at right tackle. I love it. I love it. It's a
Nice.
beautiful thing to see. So Jonah Williams on the right tackle, Will Hernandez on the right guard, which I think I love the right side. I really do. Fro Holt, I think we can both agree, serviceable guy.
Solid.
Left tackle Paris Johnson Jr. And then the only really questionable one is, the left guard with Tristan Colon. But I mean, like you said, I mean, it would be kind of nice to see John Gaines get an opportunity. If not that, Tristan Colon maybe can actually battle it out and see who can be that guy. But most important things, we got to protect that quarterback, right?
Yeah.
Got to protect Kyler.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't be shocked if they draft someone somewhere. I did a video with analysis on kind of like Monty's draft strategy and the New England draft strategy. And the sweet spot for where he comes from is 4th round. Like New England, drafted guards and centers in the 4th round a lot more than any other round. And they never drafted, at least during the time Monty was in the front, working as the head of scouting in the front office there. They never drafted an interior offensive lineman earlier than the 3rd round. So when people are saying center late 1st round or 2nd round, I mean, maybe he goes against that, but that's just not the New England way. They get those guys, especially in the 4th round. So I think, which is where they got Gaines last year, right? That he was a 4th rounder.
Yep.
I wouldn't be shocked if they add another 4th rounder, 5th rounder guard into the mix. But yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be survival of the fittest, whoever plays best from those guys, that we've been talking about.
So I heard too, and correct me if I'm wrong here, John Gaines actually plays guard and center.
He played, I think they were playing him at center in the preseason. So I think the idea is he was a guard in college. And my understanding is that they were looking at potentially moving him to center. And he's got a really, really good athleticism, and I've talked about this on my channel. I don't know if I've talked about it on here, but there's this, the shuttle drill for interior offensive linemen. There's this kind of tweet that was out last year where 24 there. Okay. If you had a 4.47 or better in the shuttle, right, as an interior offensive lineman, that's like a cheat code. 28 people had that score in the last however many years, and 24 of them got drafted. And they played 80-something% of the snaps. Just something about that measure is a good predictor of interior offensive or offensive linemen in general being successful. Something about the agility. And John Gaines had that. He was under 4. He's 4.45. So I think they really like him because he has that athleticism, and he measures in on that cheat code short shuttle. Obviously, though, the injury was disappointing.
Absolutely, yeah, especially since it happened in the preseason. So really, I don't think a lot of people remember him. I kind of throw it in there, who? I was like, he has a 4th round pick last year, but he came in here, and I didn't really know too much about him, but looking into him a little bit, the idea of adding a piece there is really cool. So I'm curious to figure out what he's going to do in this training camp, and I really do hope there's a good battle going on. But I think right now, Fro Holt might be the guy to stay at center because, like we said, he did pretty decent there. Real quick, let me get a gauge on how you felt about the past free agents. Day 1 was pretty active Monday and then Tuesday. What were your thoughts here on the free agents that happened? Do you kind of agree with everybody where the big names obviously weren't necessary? We saw Christian Wilkins go with by crazy number. How are you feeling about how Monty's doing so far?
I like it overall. I mean, my philosophy is build premium positions to the draft, fill some depth and maybe some spot starters in free agency, but I am not a spend big in free agency guy because you overspend in free agency. My belief is heavily focus on the draft, and then when it comes time to extend those guys, spend your money on extending the guys you drafted because you've had them in the building, you know what they give you, you know their character, you have all the information. So if you draft a guy and they hit, then you pay them. Going out in free agency, the guys they've drafted were the kind of guys you want. Get some interior defensive line depth, but don't go after the big money guys. Draft those guys. They got a cornerback. I'm fine with that. They didn't spend too much on it. The inside linebacker, I think, they maybe, a lot of people think they overpaid for at least one of those defensive tackles, and I wouldn't argue with that. I mean, but they're all guys that are healthy, they're young, and I think Monty had scouted them when they were in college, so I think they like what they do, and I think they're going to fit well in the system. So I think it's the right approach. And what I also like about it is because you're not going after the big name guys, the guys you draft have a path to playing, right?
Yeah,
They're
to success.
right. They're not hiding behind, or they're not stuck behind a 28 or 30-year-old guy that you spend a lot of money on. If they play well, you can justify getting them there. So I like it. I think I overall the approach that he's taking is in keeping with what I think is a smart roster building process, which is hit the draft heavy, focus on premium positions in the draft, and then sign a few non-premium positions in free agency here and there, but continue to focus on the draft. And I know we have all this cap money and people are like, well, when are we going to spend it? I get that. Well, we just spent some of it on tackle, but you want to spend that money on your own guys. You want to spend that money when it's time to extend Trey McBride, right? You want when it's time to extend Paris Johnson Jr. That's where you really want to spend the money, is extending those guys.
You don't want to find yourself looking in your pockets and be like, "Oh, bro, what's going on?" That's true.
You don't want to be the Chargers.
Yeah, no, that's a very, very good point. Yeah, because when it comes down to it, that's going to come here sooner than we think. Trey McBride, Paris Johnson, and the way he played in his rookie year, wouldn't be surprised in 2 years from now that he's going to be like, I want to get paid, We'll see. What are your thoughts here? I'm not sure how active you've been in the Twitter world. Actually, before we go there, I want to say real quick, K1 ended up tweeting here about DJ Humphries. Obviously, you can tell very, very likable in the locker room. So definitely shout out to K1. He says this: one of the realest, been a pleasure, brother. Hope all Cardinals fans appreciate 74 Hump. And I think me and you, I can't speak for the rest of the chat, but definitely do appreciate what he's done for the Arizona Cardinals.
100%.
Okay, so going back to my original thing, I'm not sure how active you were on Twitter, but one of our newest Arizona Cardinals, yeah, man, Mac Wilson has been tweeting. My new favorite Cardinal. I'm not gonna lie, this guy's going off. I love it, brother. So basically, we got my guy here having the little eye emojis, and that's my favorite emojis to put here on Twitter because it makes people kind of crazy, like myself. And he goes, at Cardinals source, the Chargers are releasing wide receiver Mike Williams. So this question to you isn't should we get Mike Williams, but the question to you is, how do you like Mac Wilson just, I guess, approaching and being likable already?
I love it. I mean, listen, I followed him on Twitter when they signed him, and I look at him. And this dude's been a kind of a backup linebacker, and he's got 116,000 subscribers or followers on Twitter. All right. And so that's a lot. I've seen NFL players who have fewer than I do, and I'm not trying to loud myself. It's just some of them aren't real active, but if you've got a backup linebacker that's got 116,000 followers on Twitter, that dude has Twitter game, right?
Yeah.
So clearly he does. So I'm loving the signing, but but he seems to be fun and positive on Twitter, because you could also have someone who's kind of, not maybe a guy you don't want representing you on Twitter, but it seems like he's having fun. It's all positive. It's all good spirit. So yeah, I'm loving it. I think very quickly become a fan favorite.
Yeah, absolutely. It almost kind of reminds me of when Tay Gowan came in. Tay Gowan was very active, and I think a lot of people really, really loved him. And it was kind of I don't think we got to a point where we got attached to when, obviously, I think we traded him away. I don't think we kind of felt that.
He still follows me on Twitter.
Oh, does he really?
Yeah, he followed back a bunch of people early on.
I wonder if he followed. I know that when I originally released a video, I know he got on there because he was on YouTube at one point. I think he used to make videos, and I think he messaged me. I was like, "This ain't Tay Gowan." I was like, "You lying." But yeah. He was like, "Oh yeah, that was me." And I was like, "Oh snap!" I was like, "Cool, man." But yeah, same thing. He seemed like a really cool dude, and obviously, I think Mac is definitely going to be here because he's not a draft pick. He's a signee. So right. I'm really excited to see what he's going to do and kind of hopefully continue this, I guess, relationship with the fans, because fans are loving it. We're eating it up, man. So yeah, it's cool. What are your thoughts here on? I guess let's just go with Mike Williams. What are your thoughts on Mike Williams?
Good player, but old. I say no. I think you want to draft a receiver, get that rookie deal, kind of, the cost control, the benefit of that, develop them. I'm just so much more for draft develop, especially the premium positions like that. Because you think about it, if we do get Marvin Harrison Jr., if we don't, we get Rome Odunze, who we've talked about, one of those two guys, right? You get him, Michael Wilson, Dortch underneath in the slot, get Trey McBride, and then maybe you draft a guy, a speedster or someone a little bit later to develop. that's nice pass catching core. Would it be better with Mike Williams? Sure. But
Right.
I think that money is better spent on the
Elsewhere.
defense, right? I think, and part of this is kind of the philosophy I've also had in general with like offense. I think if you give Kyler a good offensive line and a couple good pass catchers, like we draft someone in Trey McBride and a good running game, like spend the rest of your money on defense. Build a really good defense, and Kyler with a good offensive line, a good running game, and 2 good pass catchers, which if we draft someone we're going to have, can put up a good amount of points, build a defense, and that's a whole kind of winning team. I mean, you don't need a whole track team of receivers. If you have no defense and you've got just a bunch of receivers, you're not going to get as far. So yeah, I think spend that money elsewhere.
I agree. I do. I like the idea. I've always liked Mike Williams coming out of the draft, and I was like, I really, really want him. But like at the end of the day, it's a clear path. It's a clear path to Marvin Harrison Jr. right now. And even John Gambadoro, when I was driving home, said the same thing. He was like, yeah, you got a clear path for him. And you should feel confident as a Cardinal fan. So he's really one of the guys that I really, really do like, because for the most part, 90%, 85%, he's pretty much right on the head. So I like what I heard. I know I want to be very, very mindful of your time. I have one more question for you here. This is a shock to me that happened today. There was a move that was made today that I was like, whoa, this man got paid. As a wide receiver. And the reason why we're talking about it is because Marquise Hollywood Brown, we're already seeing the comments and people are talking about him. But this is crazy number. I didn't think Calvin Ridley was going to go this much. But Calvin Ridley is signing with the Tennessee Titans, 4 years, $92 million, $50 million guaranteed. Is this... How do you feel about Marquise now? Because to me, I think he's as good as gone, and I think there's going to be another team that's going to pay him. What are your thoughts on Marquise?
I do think he's gone. I mean, I still do think that the receiver market, I mean, even though like Ridley was kind of the top of that market, and sometimes one guy gets paid and the rest not as much, especially with this draft class. We talked about that before. But I do think that gives a indication that maybe Hollywood Brown, because he probably is that next guy in terms of, he's younger than Mike Williams. And, I think he's gone. I know people have been talking about the Chiefs. I think that's a sign that he's probably going. And, that's an overpay for Ridley. But we talked about that. Like, number one receivers don't hit the free agent market. Though, right. So that's what's going to happen. He's going to get overpaid. I think there's maybe more of a market than we thought.
Yeah, no, definitely. We both can agree that this wide receiving draft is good, but like he can do it. He can play in the NFL. Like that's for sure. Like you're still taking a gamble on these college athletes, and hopefully a lot of them work, but for the most part, a lot of them don't work out. So if you can get a guy that can definitely do it, I could see a team like the Chiefs doing something like that. Oh my God. That would kind of annoy me, but in the end of the day, it is what it is. But like also kind of a team like the Panthers, where like I don't know how much of the cap space they have, but like they might be desperate. They don't have a first round pick, so like they can get a wide receiver in that very top of the second round. But I don't know. I don't think Hollywood's coming back, especially because of the philosophy of what we've been doing. Jonah Williams was the highest paid that we've had. This was the splash. This was the splash for the Arizona Cardinals, and I just don't see it happening. Yeah.
Those big name offensive players, or just big name players in general, I mean, they're fun. That's the sexy signing. That's what fans want. But I'm just like, the teams that win in free agency rarely win in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? It's the teams that have got their quarterback and they built a team around them through the draft and maybe smart moves here and there in free agency. But it's rarely the teams that go buck wild that are winning, right? So I'm just very kind of cautious about that. And especially, going after big name receivers and stuff. I'm like, draft a guy and draft a couple guys, and I'm not saying it can't work. I know people are talking about T. Higgins in the chat, and if you can get him, great. But I mean, again, you got to pay him now.
Yep.
Versus Marvin Harrison Jr. or Rome Odunze, who you have to pay in about 4 years, right?
Yeah, I was really high on T. Higgins. Like before the free agency started, I really liked him as a player, but like now really thinking about it in terms of this clear path that we have, like I said, I won't be mad if it happened. It's just that's something you definitely got to think about, because, and then also you're probably going to have Mike Mike Wilson take a back seat because you want your free agent to go in there. And if we do get Marvin Harrison Jr., and I know there might be some people like, well, why are we going Marvin Harrison? You still get Marvin Harrison Jr. Like that at least to me, you still go after him, but it does kind of put Mike Wilson in the back seat to me. So I don't know. I'm cool with it. I would love the idea that you just said, where in terms of the Arizona Cardinals get another wide receiver towards maybe the mid round, and we got three third round picks, so maybe we'll get somewhere there, and then develop him, and hopefully he can go in there. But I do agree with you. And when it comes to free agency, you're right. I think the people that spend a lot usually aren't good, but we sucked at drafting. Like that's been our ball and chain. And now that we have Monty here and we've seen what he could do in the draft, I think it brings a lot more excitement here for the Arizona Cardinals. So I'm not going to have you answer this question unless you need a bounce.
I'm in no rush. So
okay. So I'm going to go ahead with my guy. G. He says, should we go after Joey Bosa or Armstead? I'm going to just say real quick, no. But what are your thoughts?
It depends on what we're looking at. Like if either of them is going to command a multi-year big deal, then I'm going to say no. But if you can get an edge rusher, which is we talked about, we need a Batman, right?
Yeah.
So if like Joey Bosa comes available and you can get him on a 1 or 2 year deal, even if it's kind of big, but we have the cap space, I wouldn't hate it. Yeah. I still lean towards let's draft an edge rusher with pick 27 or defensive line with pick 27. But if you can get on I think for me, the key is just not a long-term deal.
What is the amount?
Guy. Yeah.
That's fair.
Even the amount's not as important as the duration. I don't want to commit to 3 or 4 years of old Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
1 or 2 years, using our cap space that we have for 1 or 2 years, I'm okay with to get a premier edge rusher. I don't want to commit to an older guy and worry about, on year 3 when we're paying him, 17, 18 million, what's his injury situation looking like?
Yeah, I agree. I think Joey Bosa would be less likely. I would like Armstead if the money was right, for sure. Joey Bosa really scares me in terms of I feel like if we sign him, he's just going to get hurt all the time.
Yeah.
That really worries me in this whole situation. We got my guy BBH says just joined. Is Jonah good? I was a former first round pick for the Bengals. I think it was definitely top 10. But the plan for the Arizona Cardinals is not to put him at left, is to put him at the right, and having Paris Johnson move over to the left. So I think it's a great pickup. I truly do. I think it's a very good pickup for the Arizona Cardinals. It almost worked out perfectly. It truly did. I think it worked out perfectly for the Arizona Cardinals because everybody was kind of looking for something to hold on to. And although we liked the moves, it almost kind of felt like, I saw a lot of comments on my Instagram and also on X as well. People were like, well, they're mid-tier. They're not even starters. I think this right here, this move shows that he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. So let's let Monty cook. Let's continue to allow him to put that chef hat on and just cook it up here for the Arizona Cardinals. What are your overall thoughts, real quick, on Jonah? Just from my guy BBH.
Yeah, BBH. I think it's a good, solid signing. It's not like a sexy signing. It's not a super big name, but former first round pick. Yeah, he's last couple of years been down a little bit in terms of PFF grades. First couple of years were solid though. And let me just say, there's another player that the Cardinals signed once who had a good couple first years, then a couple rough years PFF grades, and that's Will Hernandez. His rookie year, first couple of years, his PFF grades were solid. They took a dip with the Giants. We brought him in. He's been solid. So sometimes you get a guy who's got that pedigree of being a day 1 or 2 pick, solid but not Pro Bowl level player. You get him in a new system with new coaching staff and a change of environment, and it works. And that's what happened with Will Hernandez. I think we all agree Will Hernandez has been a great pickup. And I think Jonah Williams has the potential to be that kind of guy, a solid player, been a little rough couple of years in a new situation with a new coaching staff and a new system, could end up doing really well.
Yeah, no, I agree. Solid pickup here for the Arizona Cardinals. Cherry on top of the ice cream. I think we are in a good situation for the Cardinals heading into the draft. Let me just ask you one last question.
Yeah.
Are we done? Prediction.
No, I don't think so. I don't know if it's going to be a big move, but I think we're going to see potentially, maybe if Hollywood Brown goes, we might see another kind of back of the roster pass catcher. We might see an edge rusher, maybe not an elite one, but I think there's a good chance we could see that. So I don't think we're done, but I don't know that it's going to be a big signing. It might be just kind of some depth guys.
Yeah, so this is probably as high peaked as it gets, and honestly, I'll take it. Like
unless it's an edge, I think edge rusher is the one position we could still go big if they don't. It depends what they're planning to do in the draft. If they feel like they want to address that in the draft with that pick 27, then maybe they don't. But I could see them wanting to go a number one edge rusher if they can get that guy
in free agency.
Yeah. Now it would.
Gotcha.
Right, because the top guys have already kind of gone, but I could see them getting a veteran edge rusher that is someone we've heard of. That's the one position. If they go with a name that we know that's kind of an established kind of person, I think that's the one position where they'd be likely to do that.
I'm curious. Do you know by any chance who would be like? Is there a name that you maybe want to throw out? Nothing comes to my head right now.
Oh, I'd have to look it up. I know I've seen some lists of some of the guys that are still like edge defenders for agents. Obviously,
Chase Young. No,
I mean that's a name that's been thrown out. Right, some people thought that was a potential name for the Cardinals to look at. Right, Chase Young is definitely one. A lot of the top guys are already gone. Man, yeah, you have to go really down the list.
Yeah, right. I'm doing the same thing.
I don't know. Did Nico Autry, did he sign Dorrance Armstrong, Brandon Graham? I don't know if he retire. There's
right.
So it's I mean, it's not going to be a top guy. Well, there was a guy that was Tyus Bowser was going to be released right by Baltimore. That's not a top of the, it's not a frontline guy, but they might go something like that. It wouldn't shock me if they took a shot if Bosa is released as a cap casualty, if they took a shot at that.
That'd be crazy. If I like that idea. I hope corner would be a thing. Like if we were to pick one or two, hopefully one of them, I feel like corner would be awesome. I
feel like they're done at corner. I know people don't see Murphy Bunting as cornerback one. He is. I think you ideally want him to be cornerback two, but I think their intent is for him to be cornerback one and to maybe draft someone. So like Garrett Williams play the slot,
right?
Cornerback one being Murphy Bunting. Cornerback two, I don't know if they're going to bring I don't know if they've signed Antonio Hamilton or not, but if they bring him back potentially, and then they've got the Starling Thomas a fifth. They've got Keitrell Clark, and if they draft someone. I think they want to draft and develop their future cornerback one, and they really the Patriots really like taking cornerbacks in round two in particular. There's a couple guys that could be there.
Gotcha. 1 year deal to me. I don't think it's gonna happen, but that'd be so awesome to get like a Gilmore or like Tredavious. Yeah. Just for 1 year, that's all.
Here's the problem though. Cornerback, you draft a cornerback, they need to develop.
True. Yeah.
And you do that, then if you draft a guy in the second round, they're sitting behind him. I would much rather draft a guy in the second round, someone who's one of the kind of the prospects that has some potential and get them on the field. Right. That's Garrett Williams got on the field, right? And that's going to benefit us this year.
I'm so curious, man. I'm so curious.
Yeah.
I agree. I think there might be something brewing. People are saying trades. I just, people are getting excited and I love it. I absolutely do. So I appreciate you, Joe. If you don't know who this is, definitely shout out your channel. If you want to shout out your Twitter page, please do so right now.
Yeah. Find me on YouTube at the Cardinal Rule. I do videos, live streams and stuff, much like Mike does. I get maybe a little more into the analytics stuff. That's kind of my wheelhouse. And find me on Twitter at JoKomo13, JoKomo13. Give me a follow there. And yeah, Mike, it's always good hanging out with you and talking Cardinals, man.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for jumping on, brother. Later, man.
All right, peace.
Yo, all right. So let's keep this going here. Well, we're going to be talking here for about maybe 17 more minutes. Appreciate you guys for tuning in, by the way. If you guys haven't already, smack that like button. Smack it up. Do it for Jonah Williams. Do it for the Viking. Definitely go ahead and do it here, man. Smack it up. Or I guess that's the wrong term. There's a team called the Vikings. That's not what I meant. But this man looks like a beast. Let me just say that right now. This man looks like an absolute beast. Let's get to these super chats right now while we look at our new right tackle for the next 2 years, Jonah Williams. So, all right, let's go with OKG. He says, I like Gardick and BJ Ojulari. I like Gardick as well. I really do. I think Gardick is wonderful. Great human being. It's just, I don't know if he's edge one. And I know that we have BJ Ojulari, and I really do have high hopes and prayers that BJ Ojulari can be edge one. But I also do like the idea of drafting, let's say, for example, a Chop Robinson, a Jared Verse, somebody that falls to the Arizona Cardinals that can be a real possibility for the future. But I also won't be mad if, let's say, for example, somebody does get cut, right? One of those veterans that the Cardinals can make another splash. I won't be mad at that either as well. So definitely a lot of possibilities here for the Cardinals. Let's get to BBH with another $2 dono. He says, would you trade the 27th or the 2nd for Reddick? Ooh. You're pulling on the heartstrings of an Arizona Cardinal fan that loved Hassan Reddick and would have loved to given him something before he tested that market. Oh, that's such a tough one. It truly is. And I know there's a lot of benefits to getting Reddick. There's a lot of benefits to getting Reddick, right? Especially Jonathan Gannon and being with the Arizona Cardinals. The thing is that when Reddick, there's a reason why he wants out, right? There's a reason why he wants out. It's the contract, right? It's the he wants to get paid. So I think on paper, I guess with the heart, you would say yes, right? If you're thinking with your heart. But with your mind, if Monty can pull it off, right, and it works, then it works. I don't see a world. I feel like the Cardinals, if they were going to do something like that, they probably would draft a edge in the 27th overall, or maybe do what our friend Joe said in free agency, where maybe if somebody gets cut, maybe that could be something that the Cardinals can definitely attain. But overall, I don't know, man. That's such a tough one. It's such a tough one. I like Reddick. Don't get me wrong, man. I like Hassan Reddick. Don't get me wrong. It's just, it's a tough one. Somebody said Josh Sweat. Yeah, Josh Sweat has been coming up a lot in the chat as well. And that's from the X/Twitter world as well. A lot of people are very, very excited with the thoughts of, maybe the Cardinals can make a huge trade. And honestly, at the end of the day, the Arizona Cardinals, man, that they made a splash play. They truly, truly made a splash play here. And I know I've heard it. I've heard Bengals fans already start talking their smack. I don't care. I truly don't. Paris Johnson is on the left. Is exactly what I wanted. And we got our right tackle. So I'm excited about it. That's exactly what we're going to be rolling through with. Yes, let's do that. I wanted to make sure that we open up some time to open up the phone lines. Yes, you just read my mind there, BBH. Let's open up the phone lines. I think it is that time. I think it's time to hear from the Bird Gang. I think it's time to hear from you guys, because it's very important that you guys are aware that this channel just doesn't belong to me. It doesn't just belong to Mike. It belongs to everybody. It's time to open up the phone lines, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get a gauge on how you guys are feeling about free agency and everything that has transpired so far. If you're watching on Twitter, you do have to jump onto YouTube, just FYI, and you got to subscribe. You got to be it's free. It's just free. Jump onto YouTube, search up AZ Sports Fan, hit subscribe, and the link will be posted here in the link below on the YouTube chat. Just FYI. If not, no worries. You can sit back with your popcorn and just enjoy the show and see who wants to jump in and talk about this latest acquisition from the Arizona Cardinals. So the link has been posted. It is on the YouTube chat. Let us know how you're feeling out there, Bird Gang. Click on the link and jump on through and let us know how you're feeling about the latest acquisition from the Arizona Cardinals, and that is none other than Jonah Williams. The link has been posted. Come through and smack the like button if you guys haven't done so already. Smack it. Do it for the algorithm, and obviously the rest is history from there. So phone lines have technically been opened up. Let's get us going. All right. Here we go. Got my guy BBH up in here right now. Let's start off with you, man. You're the first one here. Let's start off with BBH. You are live on the AZ Sports Fan here on YouTube. Talk to me, man. How you feeling about the signing?
Honestly, the reason why I asked that question is because I'm not too sure who that player is. So as far as me doing the research, I know he played a lot of right side. Sometimes gets moved to the left depending on the injuries. But I've seen his stats and everything, so I think it's a big pickup. Definitely probably a 1 or 2 year guy. I don't know what his contract was because I didn't see the contract yet. But definitely I feel like we should still draft an offensive lineman just in case. Definitely around the 3rd or 4th round.
Gotcha. So
okay,
this
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you got 2 years. Okay, yeah, I kind of figured it'll be like a 1 or 2 year deal because that's what I've been seeing a lot with the signings recently.
Yeah, it's a good thing too, and you might be right. I just don't know if it's a big need right now for the Cardinals, but I do hope that they can address it, like maybe somewhere in the maybe third and above. With the top two, wide receiver, man, right? Marvin Harrison, are you on that same boat, Marvin Harrison?
Oh, definitely Marvin Harrison. But I'm gonna say this: if he's gone, don't trade down. Get it's such a stack wide receiver that you can't really risk trading down because Malik Neighbors might be gone, or that Odunze might be gone as well
Odunze.
because how they performed in the combine and how they went on their pro day. I don't think they're gonna be available outside the top maybe like 6 or 7. If you can trade in within the 5, 6 or 7, then go ahead. But if you can't, then don't risk it. Just sign one of them. I say get one of them.
Who do you
But
think, Odunze or Neighbors, if he's not there?
honestly, Doomsday is really impressive. I like him. I
Doomsday.
really like him. He's such a he's being overlooked because of course of Marvin Harrison and Neighbors because they're the top two because they're hand in hand. But I feel like Doomsday could be a sleeper. Even I feel like he might be the better out of. Well, I don't think Marvin Harrison, but Neighbors. I think he'll be better than him.
All right.
But honestly, I'm really liking these signings. Like I'm glad because last year, I kind of figured it was gonna be a rebuild. We're not gonna do anything. A new GM putting his feet in the waters. But honestly, I said in the chat right now that Monty knows what he's doing, and I have my full faith in him. And he finds diamond in the rough. Like every single players that we got in the draft last year actually performed.
Yeah, they hit.
Like they made an immediate impact. They're wanting to play, so he finds players are willing to believe in him and the team, and they can push. So that's why I'm saying, like, if we don't at least, like you said yourself, if you don't sniff the playoffs or at least get close and make it to the playoffs, I think it's a bust season, honestly.
Yeah,
because we could have honestly we could have gone 6 to 7 wins without Kyler Murray. But other than that, like. I'm really excited for this season, and I might just buy a season ticket, even though we're not in my playoffs.
Let's go. All right, BBH. Appreciate you, brother, man. Have a great rest of your day, man. Later. All right, let's go with OKG. All right, brother. You were live on the AC Sports Fan on YouTube. Talk to me. How you feeling?
Hey, how you doing?
Good, man.
So
good.
There's a few things that I do want to say, right? The first thing I do want to say is I'm extremely happy about the. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So you see, I'm repping my Arizona Cardinals sweater. I'm repping it all day today, so that's a good thing. But I am extremely happy about the pickup for Jonah Williams. It's a big help for Kyler Murray and for the line. It's super huge, right? It's like it makes me happy as an AZ fan to see Monty Ossenfort actually making moves in free agency to fill the holes that we need. You know what I'm saying? Better than Steve Keim, better than Cliff Kingsbury. I like to call him Cliff's Doodleberry. I don't want to say too much in extreme, but actually making these moves to buff up the holes that we need is a big thing. I got a hot take. I don't know if you might like it. I don't know if the chat might like it, but I think if Marvin Harrison falls to 4, if he gets taken above 4, that we should trade back for Brian Thomas. Now I know that's a hot take, spicy, right? But what I think about Brian Thomas, we seen he's a big receiver, that's a deep threat, that's a rat god. That can do everything you ask of a bigger receiver, right? Yeah, his route running is not as good as Michael Thomas, but he can. As Marvin Harrison, but what he can provide for Arizona as that big body, I feel like he's overshadowed and overlooked because Malik Neighbors is so good.
Yeah,
because Malik Neighbors is so high. But I feel like it was the same thing in Jamar Jefferson and Jamar Chase. You know what I'm saying? Everybody overlooked Jefferson because Jamar Chase was so good at LSU.
Right.
So
That's
Brian
fair.
Thomas, we seen him just run a 4.3 in the draft at 6'4". That's crazy.
It's impressive.
We seen his tapes. He led all receivers. Touchdowns in college?
Yeah, I believe so. Where would you want to go down to? Like if we look at the draft order right here, where would you trade down to?
So I wouldn't trade down too much. I mean, I would still want to stay like within. I would fish around to see what we can get in the mid, the mid-teens for the 4th overall pick. That's if MSJ is taken by the Patriots, right?
That's fair.
A lot of teams still need a quarterback. Like Jaden Daniels is still a top tier rookie in this draft class.
Yeah.
So a lot of teams will be willing to trade up to get him. So I think that if Marvin Harrison is taken, I love Malik Neighbors. I love Rome Odunze. but I think Brian Thomas can be that dark horse.
All right. I love it. No,
I think it's spicy. I've been waiting to get it off to somebody.
I love it. Honestly, I'm never going to criticize any. I love all the conversation back and forth. I appreciate you for jumping on. I really, truly do. Thank you, man. Have a great night. Later, brother.
Yeah, you too.
All right, let's keep it going here. Let me get this to super chat. We got Michael Evans saying "Go Cards, go!" Absolutely, man. It's a wonderful time, man. It really truly is. It's a great time to be an Arizona Cardinal fan, and it's so crazy. Like literally from one day to the next, right? We're feeling good. We're feeling a little fresh. Of course, there's some fans out there that were kind of a little, I'm not too happy because this, and that. But I mean, at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, like Monty knows what he's doing, right? Like literally, this feels like the dominoes have fallen perfectly. Like. We got money back. like literally, we got a guy that is going to be the right tackle for the Arizona Cardinals. We're moving Paris to the left. We got somebody on the right, and we don't have that concern anymore. And heck, we might have a little bit more money, just depending on if this is a post-June designation or a pre-June designation. And I did mention the numbers before, and I think it might be a pre-June. I'm not 100% sure, but like there is still a cap savings for the Arizona Cardinals. Now, the dead money for pre-June is a lot more, but cap savings for pre-June is $9 million to post-June is going to be 15.9. So like close to 16 mil for the Arizona Cardinals to do something like that. And it literally almost kind of felt like it was the perfect right thing to do. And it's just kind of unfortunate because to me, DJ Humphries was a good locker room, infectious smile, great personality, just overall, a great human being, right? And it definitely sucks, but at the end of the day, we needed to make sure that we had comfortability and figure out exactly what's going on, right? We had to know that. We absolutely had to know it here at the end of the day. And I think the Arizona Cardinals did a huge thing. And now obviously the rest is history from there. So I'm excited, man. I'm absolutely super excited about it. I think this is a huge W for the Arizona Cardinals. Let's continue with these super chats that are kind of coming in. Deus, what's up, brother? He says, this year is special. Let Monty Cook and JG serve W's. Yeah, it feels like that, man. It truly does. It truly does feel like the Arizona Cardinals have took it up a notch. It truly does feel like the Arizona Cardinals have took it up a notch. Believe it or not, it truly does feel like that. And I'm so excited, man. I'm absolutely super excited. No, thank you. OKG, thank you so much for tuning in. I absolutely do appreciate you. Hopefully you can, jump on other times when you open up the phone lines, which I know we're going to be hitting the months after the draft, but better bet your bottom dollar in 2024. It's going to be full coverage from Arizona Cardinals moving forward. So super excited, man. Super excited. We got my guy in the chat says no fear and drop a fire hot take for real. Yeah, no, I definitely a good hot take for sure. All right, y'all. We are going to be hitting the hour mark right now. The link is still pinned in the chat. If you guys do want to jump in, click on the link. If not, no worries. I'm about to take it down right now. So click on it if you still want to. We're about to go ahead and close up shop here pretty soon. So if you were able to click on it, click on it. If not, no worries. We'll be closing up pretty soon. And we're going to be reading some comments. Tony, what's up, man? Appreciate you for being here. Adrian, it's crazy how bad we're going to be slept on this season. Well, yeah. I mean, nobody's thinking that the Arizona Cardinals are going to make any noise, right? Biggest example as to what I'm saying is the fact that I am on a NFC West channel every other Tuesday. If you don't know what that is, check out NFC West Roundtable. We go live. It's cool to chop up with with a Rams fan, 49ers fan, and a Seahawks fan. But everybody sees the Cardinals as a little brother. It's the way that it is. They don't care that we have success because it almost kind of feels like, oh, look at you guys, right? You guys are doing something. I'm tired of that. Like, I'm truly tired of it. And I really do hope the Cardinals can do something this year at the end of the day. And with this move, it just gets me that much more excited for 2024, man. I'm excited. 6th overall pick, franchise left tackle. I'll take it, man. I'll absolutely take it. All right, let's see here. Feels good to have a legit decision maker in Monty. I agree. No, I agree. I think this is a huge decision for the Arizona Cardinals because at the end of the day, he didn't panic, right? he didn't panic at all. He got the holes that needed to be addressed, and that's exactly what he did. He didn't panic at all. He did exactly what he should have been doing. And like I said before, the rest is history. We got our franchise left tackle, and we got a right tackle for the next 2 years, and you can't really ask for much at that very moment. I'm super excited, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's all really kind of what it matters. let's read a couple more chats, and we're going to go ahead and close up shop. Let's see here. Guy Dagoda says, I would rather make moves than buying. Okay, fair. All right, I got a few people saying great stream. Thank you so very much for being here, by the way, y'all. We will, my man, standing on business. Absolutely. All right, y'all. It's about that hour mark right now. We are going to be closing up shop. Thank you so very much, everybody, for tuning in. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to everybody. We're going to go ahead and close up shop right now. We got our right tackle for 2 years. We got our left tackle for the future in Paris Johnson, and I am super, super stoked. All right, y'all. Have a great rest of your day. Good night. Have a great Wednesday, and as always, go Cardinals.